Okay, please introduce yourselves, your parents, and your children. Who's gonna go first?
Okay, since I'm the oldest, I'll go first. Okay, my name is Joanne Chiquito. I have a boy and a girl, Kelly and Stephanie. Stephanie has 3 kids, Ruby, Coral, and Opal. Okay. Stephanie is married to Matt Chadwick. And I was born, where am I? No, I was born at home. We used to live, what we were talking today about up there. It's about, you go 2 miles down and then you go another 2 miles up past Grandma Jane Tensio's house. That's where my grandma lived, and that's where my mom and dad lived when they first got married. And both my mom and dad had 5 kids. 13 actually, but one died in infancy. He was a boy. His name was Galen. And then the youngest of their children also passed away. His name was Melvin. His son was here today at the party. His name is Shane. Then he also has a daughter named Dolores. They were here, and it was so busy I didn't want to get up. And even though I was moving around, it was hard to introduce everybody. And out of the 12 children, I'm the oldest one. And then it's Eddie, and then Emma, and then Irwin, Damon, Richard. After Richard, it's Anita, and my Aunt Anita. And then it's Anita, and then Richardson, and then we also have Nancy, Nina, Gregory, and Melvin. And the children in my family, my mom and dad. My mom and dad's names were Elsie and Charlie. I already said their names. I'm naming so many names. And what else?
Okay. Eddie, can you introduce yourself, your parents, and your children?
I'm Eddie Toledo. Joanne, my sister, she told you about our brothers and sisters, our parents. For myself, I'm married to Mary W. Toledo from Tonga, Arizona. Their clans are not kiting that. Because it's Tonga, not kiting that.
Look at my little iPad.
We've been married for close to 30 years.
No, 40-something years.
We have 4 children. Names are starting from oldest to youngest. Shamari Barrow. So from her first marriage. The name came from her first marriage. She has 2 boys, Boise Barlow and Dusty Barlow. and she got divorced. Met another man, and she had 4 girls. Keisha, Vivian, Demetra, and Kayla. And their last names are Begay. Their father was from Steamboat, Arizona, Lambert Begay, but he's been deceased for about 5 years now. My children, Shamari, and then Sean Dean, the boy. Sean Dean came with us today. And then Ethley didn't come. He stayed home because he has to work. Then Ashley is our youngest one, the one you were playing with. Ashley, she's 8 years old. And then Tyler will be older than Ashley. Their mom, Genevieve Begay from Tuba City. She never stayed with her children, Ashley and Tyler. So we've been taking care of Ashley and Tyler. That's about some of my family.
Okay, when and where were you born?
I was born, like I said, about 4 miles from here. Southwest. I was born in a hotel. I wasn't born in the hospital. And I guess my mom just had a hard time having me. So after I was born, they said, my grandma said, since you gave your mom a hard time, I want to pierce your ears. So she did. So I had my ears pierced since I was a day old. That's why it's kind of up high.
Okay, when and where were you born?
I was born about 5 miles from here, the edge of Elkins Ranch, closer to Tinian. And my mom had me, I guess, outside or in the shade house. That's where I was born.
Okay, where did you grow up and go to school?
Well, during the summers, we were home when we started school. I remember we lived just about 1 mile off the highway there, east of here. And when I guess I was going to school, I remember my dad cut my hair. And then just there's a what do you call those vehicles back then? It wasn't exactly a school bus, but anyway, it was like a Jeep. At that time, the bus driver, and he was also, what do you call them? Chimney, yeah, right? Well, it's just the bus driver then. came and picked me up and took me to school. That's how I went to school. And then during the summers, we were always home. Never in the winter. Back in those days, we just had the wagon and the horses, so that people didn't really come every week to pick you up. Maybe once a month. Didn't really go home then. And I stayed that way until I went to Fort Wingate when I was about 9 years old. I was at Fort Wingate up until 8th grade, and then I went to school in Farmington for 1 year. And then after that, I was never home during the summer, tried to find a job, different places. And we were all like that until we got out of high school. One of the first jobs I had was in Gallup. I worked in what they used to call, I don't know, I don't see them very many stores anymore by that name, Western Auto. I worked in a store for almost 9 months, I think. After 9 months, I went away to Albuquerque, and I went to a beauty school. That's how I grew up. And then after that, I used to work, babysit for the Tanners too. Babysit for them. And then I went on a mission. After my mission, I went to BYU. Married 1970 to Grandpa.
Okay.
Ashley.
Okay. Where did you grow up and go to school?
I started my school when I was 9 years old. Like I was saying, at the chapter house. Frank C. Walato came to our house at Elkins Ranch. And my dad and my mom were working for Elkins as a rancher, maintaining his fence. And sometimes he would let them take care of his sheep, herding sheep for them, taking care of horses, just watching the place, the ranch. That's where Frank Walato came to pick me up. Took me back to Pablo Pintado, and Joanne was there. I was lonely. I remember she gave me a piece of cracker that she got from the kitchen. And that made me happy. And I was, let's say, 9 years old. They couldn't put me in kindergarten. So I think they put me with the second, third graders. So right from the start, I skipped a couple grades, I guess. After Pintado, I went to Crown Point. At Crown Point Boarding School. Stayed there up until I think 5th, 6th grade. I think skipping another grade. And by that time, I was almost up to my age group. Stayed at Crown Point Boarding School, like Joanne was saying. Get to go home once in a great while during the holidays like Christmas. Even then, I remember not going home one Christmas. Just stayed there while we were staying there, we were scaring each other at night, telling, those stories. But I guess one day one really came to us. They left the door open. I remember having a red mark on my palm. It was, they call that chi in Navajo. In the morning, the door was wide open in the back. This unique experience there at Crown Point. And after Crown Point, I went to Intermountain Indian School up in Brigham City, Utah. In my junior high and part of my high school year up to 10th grade. Again, staying at the dormitory. I stayed in dormitory. Each dormitory had a number. I stayed in 27, mainly 27 and 25. We had about maybe 30 students, kids in the dormitory. At that age, I was baptized into the LDS Church, and I was recruited to go on the Indian placement program. So I went to North Cache High School at Lewiston, Utah. North Cache High School. Which is north of Logan, about 15 miles out of the farm country back then. Now all that place is developed to housing. There were a lot of dairy farmers there at that time. And I stayed on the dairy farm. I stayed with Don and Kevin Van Dyke and their children. And after that, my high school, I also went on a mission for the church, to the Southwest Indian Mission, 2 years. Went to different places on the reservation. After that, right after that, I went into college at Brigham Young University. I went to study art education there. Spent a couple of years, a couple of summer school at Utah State University. Began studying art. And 1 year, almost at the end of the semester, my friend and I, Stanley Nance, we decided to join the service, the Marine Corps. And I was accepted. He wanted to go too, but I didn't know that he was rejected because he had a hearing problem. I passed my exam and I went into the Marine Corps, San Diego, Camp Pendleton. I trained there at boot camp. After training, I was shipped to South Vietnam. Flew to South Vietnam with a bunch of soldiers. We landed at Da Nang. From there we were dispersed to our different assignments. And I went with my assignment, served there for almost 2 years. And I got wounded there, and so released me early. And came home, worked a little bit here and there. One place where I worked was in Utah with the Head Start program. And at that time, they were bringing college courses to the community in Blanding. So I took advantage of that on the weekends, finished the classes, and switched to elementary education. And I had all my requirements prior to that. So I just had to finish the requirement and got certified or got a degree in elementary education. And I work with different schools on the Navajo Reservation in Southern Utah, being a K through 8 teacher. Working at Bluff, Utah, Mexican Hat, and Blanding, Utah. That's about the length of my education.
Okay, what are your favorite memories growing up?
Say that again.
What are your favorite memories growing up?
I have lots of favorite memories. I try to remember them now, but there's too many stories to tell. Some are the same as theirs. Remember, I guess maybe you heard different ones of my sisters say that our dad was really strict. My mom, not so much when she was young. When she was a young mom, but as she got older, boy, she could tell you everything, even though she never went to school. And she used to really, the way she dressed, she used to really coordinate her clothing. So Grandma Toledo was a dresser, just like Grandma Rose, that type of clothing. I think Grandma Nulla outdid her a little bit, but my dad, like we said, when Anita said she doesn't really remember, but I remember the day she was born. I don't know, the day that she was born, somebody had to go get her. I mean, somebody had to go and inform my Nully. A different Nully, which was my dad's grandmother. And she came and she was the midwife when Anita was born. I remember these guys, that day we didn't have the horses, so these guys had to run down to there's a little water hole behind Grandma Jane's house. These boys had to go and get water from there, just bring it back in buckets. And my dad was all anxious. And then I guess I'm kind of like Anita in a way, just a little bit, not in the cooking, but just different things. I was always thinking of food, and there I was cooking when this happened. And my dad, well, I guess he was just impatient, and I made gravy. And he got upset, and the gravy that I was making, he told me he got it and took it out of my hand and flipped it over away, so these guys didn't get their gravy that morning, bread and gravy. But Anita, my mom, Anita was born. My mom, I guess, was kind of sick for a little bit, and then Anita herself didn't do too well. She had diarrhea for a long time, and they had to take her to the hospital to find out what was her problem. But after they brought her back, she was okay. She got okay from there, so I don't know what was really wrong with her. That's how Anita was born. and then I guess my mom and dad, they weren't really prepared to. Again, back in those days, let me go back a little bit. My dad, back in the 40s, around 19, I don't know, must have been in 1949. He was working on the pipeline, one of the men working for the pipeline that was being laid. And he got hurt. I guess one of the pipes kind of fell on him. I'm not sure. And he was in the hospital almost all summer, I think. And I just remember the people that he was working for, that compressor station where Damon worked. The people there, I guess that he knew, they used to come and get us, and then I remember taking turns going to the hospital with my mom to visit my dad. And now going back to it, we had enough food to eat, maybe not always as much as we wanted. So that, again, so going back to Anita, that's why they weren't really prepared. Anytime my dad went to work, he always got hurt. So he had no choice except like to work for people on the ranch or things like that didn't require heavy lifting. So that's why we really never had enough money. But we ate, they took care of us. And that's how we, going again back to that, I remember when Anita was born, they didn't have the layette that she needed. So I remember I had a real nice cotton slip. I had to give that up to give it to her because they didn't have the diapers either. That's what they wrapped her up in. I think I told this story earlier today. And that's one of my favorite stories. There's many more. I think he recorded some today.
Grandpa Eddie, this one's for you. What were your parents like?
Our mom and dad were uneducated, so illiterate. Especially my mom, she never had experience of going to school. My father, I think he went a couple of years, but he spoke English. He understood English pretty well. My mom was illiterate. She could say like hello, goodbye, and so forth. They were kind. My father, I remember him as being a hard worker, especially in labor, chopping wood, hauling water, digging holes, or plant a post, or with shovel, digging in the dirt, building things, cutting logs for fences. I remember working with him. He would show us how to cut wood with an axe. That's how he taught us how to do hard work, hard labor, riding horses.